So when I sit down and record these videos, I typically go over the character kit one last time to kind of figure out what I want to say, things like that. And in doing so, I was like, man, 17 and 18 are so impressive. They are a crazy character. They have so many different things in their kit that are just powerful, from 18 having the Dragon Ball manipulation, the key reduction they both have as well technically, but all the healing, the damage, the draw speed. The blue card's gonna hit really hard. 18 has the vanishing gauge removal and restoration effects on her kit. Like, she's got a lot on her kit that's very powerful. They have null covers. They've got the constant ability to delete the endurance characters. They've got so much. They both draw a card. 17 is going to draw the blast. He's going to draw a strike. They do so much. Okay, so this is the point. They fit very well on pretty much any team. They are by far the best red character in the game. So if you wanted to say, oh, I'm going to stick them on X team, it doesn't matter what team X is, and put them in the leader slot as your red, because wouldn't you know it, a lot of teams are kind of wanting a red. You've seen a rise in play of characters like Merge Zamasu. Bojack, I guess, is still a little bit in circulation, but it's mainly Merge Zamasu. You don't really see any other reds that often other than him, and he's good. But yeah, they are by far the best red in the game. So yeah, if you want to put them in the leader slot on like LOE, go for it. I wouldn't blame you for that. But I want to kind of say that when it comes down to them, I want to talk about their three main listed teams that they actually have tags for, because I could go all day about, oh, we're going to put them on the leader slot here and there. But yeah, we have Future, we have Android, and Powerful Opponent. So I'm going to go ahead and break these down into chunks. We're going to start off by talking about Powerful Opponent and go over the characters that we have on this grouping and talk about them. And then we're going to move on to Androids and then Future, and then at the end we're going to recap and talk about what team I thought was the best for these characters, given their their efficiencies and deficiencies, and go from there. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you're new to the channel, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Today's video like goal is 1,200. If you hear me say that sometimes and you don't actually help us out, thank you so much for not helping. Please help us going forward. And I don't thank you. That was sarcastic. No, in all seriousness though, regardless of whether you do that or not, I hope you guys are having a good day, awesome weekend. And here we go. We're going to start off talking about Powerful Opponent. So I kind of briefly talked about 17 and 18 because I really don't. There's just so much freaking text here. I could go over this for like, honestly, I could make it take 10 minutes, but at least 5 minutes, right? But the main beat that you need to know about them is that they are extremely offensive characters. They've got just damage against Saiyans and Super Saiyans, which is a large chunk of the game. They just do everything pretty much, almost everything. They don't have revive, anti-revive. They don't have endurance, but that's like almost it. So know that when talking about these characters. So ideally, when it comes to pairing them up with characters, you probably want to pair them up with characters that have some of the mechanics that they don't have, and that's pretty much Legends Team Building 101. But what I will say is there are some strong characters in Powerful Opponent as we look here. From pretty much all color groups, there are good competitors, and there are even characters like Jiren and Cell with his unique equip exclusively. If he doesn't have the unique equip, I don't think it's really close. But these characters that have such good arguments, and Cell has a little bit more of an argument as we talk about androids, but like there's competition. So I want to kind of say that this character has a lot of Dragon Ball manipulation, so they can get rid of 3 Dragon Balls for just tagging. So there's that. So I'm going to say that, like, if you really want to be an annoyance, if you pair them up with Cell, who has anti-revive, and by the way, if he gets the revive to activate, he's going to get rid of 4 Dragon Balls. 4 Dragon Balls. Now, I'm going to say there are only like a handful of revives in the game. The only one you're really going to see is Frieza, who's really good, but like is the only one you're going to see ever. So maybe you just don't really see them for like 4 or 5 matches at a time. Who knows, right? But other than that, Cell also has 2 more Dragon Ball destroys here on cover change. So you can really be an annoyance and bring Cell into these matches and make it to where the opponent really struggles to use their rising rushes. And if you do this, I would say that your third character probably has to be Revive Frieza in most cases, because I think you definitely need that backbone as a character that's going to have endurance or revive. You know, they are going to be in a position where if you're playing well enough and able to control it, the circumstances a little bit, they're going to be in a position where they can't really rush that often. But it doesn't hurt to have a character like this guy to kind of throw out in 2 rushes, assuming it's not an anti-rush character or anti-revive character, excuse me, like Cell, for example, or the Tag Goku Vegeta, or SS4, I guess. But you get the point. So I think personally, those three work really well together. Now, here's the thing too. Jiren as a character I think is incredibly good because of something that's not actually listed in his kit. He has this innate ability of being able to control the opponent's rising rushes, like indirectly. And what I mean by that is most of the time when Jiren is out there, people are not trying to use their rushes. Especially when he first came out, people were downright scared to use their rushes. I would see people go 4 minutes without using their rush. Like, and it's like, dude, I'm already at this point about to launch the second one, because what happens is when they do that, Jiren gets a billion freaking buffs, including but not limited to endurance, which is pretty powerful, as you would know, right? And he also nulls covers, he gets draw speed, he gets damage, he gets key recovery. Like this, they punish you. They actually punish you for using a rush versus a Jiren team. And Jiren is a character who has good sustainability, things like that. But I can understand why people say he's underwhelming or he's not good in earlier portions of the match, or if that just flat out doesn't activate, that's a good chunk of what he's supposed to do that you're just missing. So Jiren is also a little bit, it's almost redundant, I would say, to use him alongside a character with Dragon Ball manipulation. But I'll tell you, LOE has a ton of Dragon Ball manipulation, which, by the way, I didn't really talk about it, but like Cell, Frieza, and 17 and 18 is just a ton of Dragon Balls. It is a ton of Dragon Balls, dude. 2 here, that's a ton of Dragon Balls. So yeah, it's almost redundant, but LOE is a team that he fits really well on in their leader slot. And it was okay, because my thing is, if they're not going to use their rush ever, because I either destroy their Dragon Balls or I just flat out, they just don't want to do it because Jiren, then that's a win. I don't care if I get that extra passive personally. That's a win. So that's why I say a lot of Jiren's value comes from that. But yeah, that's basically what I would consider to be, on first glance, the best powerful opponent team when looking at it. They are going to be obviously a reverse character, so they get that weakness to yellow. But I mean, that's something you can manage. You can play around that whenever you want. The only issue with the weakness to yellow is that in spots with that trio of purple, red, and blue, you will have some situations where you'll be weak to yellow on 2 characters, which if you manage well enough, that probably doesn't happen because they'll be able to tag back if you have priority or whatever. But that is something you would need to be aware of and obviously account for. Now, if you're weak to yellow, then obviously, what does that mean? You want to at least have type neutrality. And when looking at this grouping of characters that at least have the Z ability, I'm not really bringing in any more of these characters. I don't really think some of these characters like Jiren down here, Pod Frieza, Turles, blah, blah, blah. There are some good ones in here. Like, I think King Pillow is actually aged. Ironically, that's the name here. Aged well. But I don't really see many characters that I'm going to bring into most matches. If we extend down here to the list down here, like, there are characters I'm going to talk about later. Like, this character that's pretty solid. Also fits that motif of Dragon Ball removal and just being annoying and tanky and stuff like that. First Form Frieza is pretty solid too, but I think that's the best trio personally. You just have to play around that double color deficiency that you may have. Okay, let's talk about androids. So androids, I talked about Cell at length, and I do think that Cell is a top 3 character on this team currently as it stands. And there's no way to talk about this guy next. There's some rumors going around that he picks up endurance. And they did give us some teasers for what he's going to do. He should be getting his Zenkai in like a few days. If he has endurance, then he's your 3rd fighter. And I think you just go red, red, purple, and you're good with that. Like, I don't really think it matters all that much because they're a reverse character. You'll be able to take care of those blue weaknesses. You can actually still cover that double yellow deficiency with another red character you could throw into a rush or whatever if you need to. I think you just go red, red, purple personally, with some other characters on your bench as options for matches. Like these 21s are working pretty fine. This 18 actually is pretty nuts. This free 18 is actually really good. I would actually, you know what? Let me just say this. In the event that he doesn't get a Zenkai, she's good too, but I don't think you need 2 reds unless it's or he does get a Zenkai, excuse me. If he doesn't get endurance, I don't think you need 2 reds if it's not an endurance red, basically. But outside of that scenario, she's probably your 3rd fighter. Now they never actually run free events over again. I don't know what their deal is with that. But the events these characters have been coming from, where they have got their own little event or whatever, they're not pushing any of those back. I have yet to see a single one rerun. But she does a lot of cool things here. She goes neutral for 40 counts because that's awesome. She gets health and ki. She draws a green. She has bonus damage against Saiyans. She's got 70 and 30% splits. She has a buff effect for androids when she switches out, and girls, but I mean they're both, so whatever. They get health, or excuse me, ki and damage. She also has I think she had null covers on her green, right? Oh no, she has that would be too much for a free character. She has vanish engage up 70% 3 times, ally health up, ally strike damage up. She's like a support character with just as a melee fighter, like just awesome character. The last unique ability here, cost up 20 for Sans, pretty crazy. And then also when she dodges an attack, she gets key, damage, draw speed, and cut. Definitely a pretty crazy character you would want to consider if you have her at 14 stars. This was a free character, so like she's your third best fighter on this team, and with that you have the purple red green synergy, so it works out pretty well as well. I'm not upset about that personally. I want to kind of give some love to a couple of other characters that are in this grouping. Again, I can't really speak too much about this dude. I mean, whatever. He might just come out and just be okay, but just mainly be a Zenkai buffer for them. They do that all the time. But the blue 18 is pretty awesome as a character if you wanted to go ahead and use her as well. She has some good mechanics like sub count down, can really help you be offensive. She has supporting effects too for special move and key recovery. Also some damage and key here. So like she's a character that could help be a nice pivot or flex option for your team if you wanted that. And if you're struggling with certain purples in the meta, 17 from the Tournament of Power also is pretty powerful too because of his ability to do all that constant sub-count manipulation on the enemy. And a crazy thing about this character too is that when he switches out, he heals allies, and he also gives damage as well, right? 50% damage inflicted when one ally... Oh, okay, I was gonna say, he doesn't get 50% damage on switch. That's crazy. He shortens allies sub-count. Crazy. Seal's main ability, 90% damage. Shortens... Man, that's crazy. But yeah, the main thing I was talking about here was the health up is pretty crazy because they heal a lot and they have an extra passive for, I believe, 15% health restoration. So you can make them really sustain a long time. Speaking of sustain, a thing I haven't really talked about a ton is special cover changes. This character also has that. Same goes for this dude technically. Same goes for Cell. I'm not really talking much about it because it seems like every character has it these days. But special cover changes are an option as well. But outside of that, I mean, again, there are some other names I can mention, like Super 17 is pretty good if you really, really want to do that. He actually would be a solid one for a green card battery. Let's see if their green cards really need that. Their green cards are combo starters. He's got a long distance one. Hers is not, but it is a one-time Vanish Gauge removal, which, I mean, it's good. It's good, but you just kind of got to be in a position where you can make sure that you can do something. It's not as... It's really, really good, but it's not as free, I guess, in a lot of circumstances as 17s would be. But yeah, so I guess if you want a green card battery, this dude's also pretty awesome too for his sustainability and his constant ability to do that full party, well, his one-time ability to do the full party paralysis and stuff like that. So let's move on and talk about Future here. So on the surface, I think Future, and I'll kind of bring back to this, but on the surface, looking at it, Future's probably the best team for them. Because what happens here is you've got access to every damn thing that you want. And if we look at the listing of characters, I gotta scroll down a little bit because he doesn't offer the C ability, but Cell's here too. That's the thing. You have Cell, you got this Trunks, you've got Goku Black and Zamasu, you got Future Gohan, who's one of the most annoying characters to play against. You got all these endurance characters and anti-revive characters, and you got some powerful options here. You got some good defeated buff characters. This grouping, we'll kind of recap in a minute, but this grouping is pretty awesome, to be fair. So I guess it's kind of top heavy, really. You look at like the main characters, and some of these characters just here are just kind of underwhelming. A lot like androids, actually, to be fair. But there are some good ones here. You got the Tag EX here too. You want to run double tag. I actually would put them on my team if I were like the 6-man team as an option, because it's better to have that option than not to have it. But personally, I think the trio would be Future Gohan, who some people don't really understand why this guy gets talked about a lot, but he's an incredibly powerful character. And a lot of that comes from his cover change, where he's able to be one of the most annoying characters to play against with the ability to destroy your cards or a special cover change and stuff like that. But he has some awesome utility in here where he offers buffs to allies, which nobody ever talks about, but that's pretty crazy. He has some damage cut, he has endurance, and like I said in the very beginning, you want to stack when building these teams these days. As many characters on one team that have the best mechanics, and the best mechanics include, but are not limited to, endurance, sub count down, anti-revive, anti-endurance, and supporting effects. There's a few other things in there, but you want to put as many of these characters, especially if they're good characters, on your teams that have these mechanics, and he's a character that fits into that motif as well. He has a lot of different ceiling and things like that, so he's a very annoying and very good and powerful character even over a year later. So he is a character I would consider using as your yellow on this team. Now I want to kind of backtrack and kind of give some people some options for some of these teams. I talked about it a little bit, but those are the main characters. But like, if you don't have, just pretty much rule of thumb, if you don't have Frieza, your next best blue character is most likely Kid Buu, unless you want to have Broly here for his blast armor or whatever the case is. You're going to have to go through and kind of look at what you have and what's available to you, but understand that, as you can see, a lot of these teams kind of have the same characters, you know? So you could just, Cell's on all three of these teams, so like you can kind of just go from there, right? So speaking of Cell, I mean, I've talked about a lot, so like, yeah, he's obviously one of the best characters you can use. So Trunks is a character who Trunks is incredibly good, but I'm just a little let down by Trunks, and the only reason why is because I feel slighted, because the boost mechanic, it feels like with him and the tag Goku and Vegeta, they were so powerful, and then they just weren't anymore. Trunks is still really good, really good, understand that, but the drop off was huge in terms of what they did versus what they do now, it seems. Because every time I see him now, he doesn't one-shot me like he used to. So Trunks has, he has, again, all the same mechanics too. Nullify Endurance, Blast Armor. He has he actually goes neutral as a last man, which I never see activated anymore. I forgot he does that, but pretty crazy. He does a damage buff for special move, which is actually really good for the androids. He has, I'd say he had endurance. If not, he has that. He's got the draw speed, so you're good to go. Trunks has got a ton of text in here. He's a gauge-based character, so when his gauge does activate, he does do that heavy Q reduction on the enemy too, so that's pretty crazy as well. He's going to get a lot better in terms of as the match goes on, in terms of the battle you'd be in. So there's Trunks. Speaking of Trunks, this guy's pretty good. He's actually really good. He has a defeated buff too, so he's a good combo damage dealer. He has null covers. He has a defeated buff too, but my thing about defeated buffs is, like, I never want to lose a character if I can do that. Like, if the goal is to have, for me, the goal is to have as many characters as long as possible. I will literally throw a character out there if they have type disadvantage, just to disperse the damage between characters so I don't lose the other character, right? That's what my goal is, to keep 3 characters as long as possible. So I don't love defeated buffs, but I'll take them, right? But I don't love them. So he's good though. But I mean, like I said, it's very top heavy. Rose yellow is solid, but I'm starting to kind of pull things out the bottom of the barrel. But that's pretty much it. So I didn't talk about them too much here, but like this blue Vegeta, pretty good. The Trunks, the Rose and Zamasu, really good. Trunks and Gohan, the tag, again, really good characters. These are all good characters. They're all green. Fusion Zamasu is on 2 of these 3 teams. A very good character, too. So, actually, you know what? I said Future might be the best one. I think it's a powerful opponent. Because I think this Frieza is a game changer. This Frieza is a game changer. He's the difference maker between all 3 of these teams, because like you can kind of get some of the same stuff, but not in one character the way you can get it. Like you can get endurance from Gohan or something like that on the other team. You could get sub count down here, like, but you can't get all of these things: the Dragon Balls, the sub count down, the ceiling. Let's go ahead and go over this kit really quick here. So he has on the main here, ally sub count down, seals, pretty crazy combination there. The following effects occur when the battle starts, blah, blah. He gets damage, or excuse me, he restores a 70% health after he dies. He has debuffs here. His green card is a combo starter, it seems. Yeah, combo starter, draws a blast, destroys the enemy's cards. We go ahead and transform. His main now destroys Dragon Balls, reduces sub counts again. He has 2 sub count reductions. Man. And then he has a supporting effect too when he switches out. Yeah, it's a powerful opponent. It's really not even close. This guy with one of these characters, probably Cell personally, it's crazy. And as a extra option, if you needed a green, I'd probably put Rose and Goku Black if you have them at a high star level on the team as well. I think Future has a good argument though, with Future Gohan and a high star tag Tag EX, I guess. But again, Future Gohan and a green character, one of the ones I talked about. I think Future has a good argument. Androids, I think Androids is in a position where it's like mainly like 2 characters that are really, really carrying. The 21s are solid, but not really using most of them. I mean, I guess you could make an argument to use Blue One because she has some of the things you would want, like the Dragon Ball stuff and supporting stuff. But like Androids just kind of feels like they need a couple other things, which is why we've been getting Androids lately. They got 2 free Androids, for example. And again, I really give praise to her because she's really good, but she's more of a connective piece as opposed to like a main piece like this Frieza is. So yeah, there's that. That's not Frieza. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys, learned something new, had fun, and click on one of the videos on the screen, and I'll see all of you guys next time.